Hello everyone, welcome back. Tonight we're gonna do a little more material design and XAML stuff. We'll see how long I survive. I am low on sleep, but high on Mountain Dew, so this is probably fair wipe. Let's take a look at some stuff. First, Microsoft build. Also, I just hang on. I'm lacking. That's not what I was looking for. Zoom it. There we go. That's the right command. I always get a good laugh when I see Kraken post something and it's my picture. I get a good laugh out of that. But in case anybody's interested, grab it. So some people may have seen the longer video that I did, but they've been clipping bits and pieces of it to go through and go off. In that case, I think that's the terminal section. Okay, Microsoft build coming up. For people who are interested in watching online, this is free. Highly recommended. Microsoft Build is, I think, Microsoft's biggest developer conference every year that they end up doing. Their two big ones are usually Build and Ignite. Build is a little more developer-y focused. Ignite is a little bit more infrastructure-y based type stuff. But, I mean, there's a lot of crossover between them because the lines are really blurry. But more importantly, this year I will be at Build. Specifically, I will be up in the Experts Exchange area. I think I am scheduled to be around the Developer Tools booth. I think. Double check. All 3 days. Sometime between like 11 and 2 is when I'm scheduled to be there, but I have an unfortunate habit of hanging around more anyway. So if you are coming to the Build conference and you'd like to say hi, by and say hi. Be great to meet people in person. I enjoy talking with people. Also, I'll just point this out. Session catalog. Guess what happens when you search WPF? Like, there's WPF sessions. I'm so happy. I'm so very happy. A little disappointed this one will not be recorded. I was starting to poke around at various sessions just to see what the interesting stuff is. Specifically, Michael Hawker, or some people might know him online as XAML Llama. He is a great presenter. I always enjoy his stuff. So if you are at all interested, there's going to be some of that stuff there. And this one actually down here caught my attention as well, of using dynamic C# data binding principles. I don't know what that means, but it looks cool. It's cool. Sounds that. So yeah, if you are at all interested in Build, let's see. Check it out. Sign up. It is awesome. Build.microsoft.com. Again, it's free for online. Just know that there are some sessions that are Seattle only for in-person people and will not be streamed or recorded. So just be aware that if you are online, there's a handful of things that you miss out on, like going to the developer or the expert exchange area and talking with me. So for what little that might be worth. Okay, so we are going to circle back. Nikolai has been doing tons of work around the smart hint. There's a couple outstanding questions. Nikolai, I apologize. I realized I said I was going to get to you some of your questions before, and that did quite happen. So I was going to take a look at this. I was also going to circle back down on to this numeric control. So this is something that was submitted a long time ago. And it is a control that has been asked for multiple times. And one that I've needed myself in multiple apps, and I've actually come across an instance where I would like it again. And so I was going to circle back to actually getting this thing rebased, merged, and added in, because this library isn't designed to be a control library, but there are a handful of things that I would argue are almost necessities. Because the alternatives is retemplating somebody else's control or putting it in the box. And sometimes I don't trust the work of other people's controls. So, there's that. So we'll take a look at that. The other thing I wanted to take a look at is there was an issue that came up earlier this week around either the getting started or similar. Somebody had found old theme brushing support or old theme brushes, and I was very confused as to how they had landed on where they did. And so it was I was not very clear. I thought I had cleaned up the entire wiki. But if people do come across issues, please let me know, because these are I think I had cleaned all of the, or I thought I had cleaned all of these up, but based on the, oh, these ones here are probably these are now all wrong. That's what's wrong. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside. I'll go get this taken care of. Palette hues. I bet you. I bet. Okay, so you go sit in my to-do list. And then you are the wrong one. Okay, so it's all the old theming stuff on the wiki that's broken. Okay, that's where they got confused. I was watches and recommended colors. These are the ones, because we renamed all of these in the 5.0 the 5.0 release. It is causing some confusion for people. Okay, that one looks fine. These are all wrong. Okay. Okay. So those are all incorrect. That explains it. Okay. I was just blinded, not seeing it before. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So specifically the Smart Hint in combo box style. So this is a PR back against the feature branch. I thought there was a it was it this one that was ready to go? Jump back here. This is the PR into a PR. Take a look at this one. Oh, was somebody else reviewing this? That would be awesome. Did I miss something? Uh, got it. So we need to just take a quick glance at that comment down there, because I think we had previously reviewed a good chunk of this. Yeah, because see, some of this is checked. So view model and demo app, couldn't care less about. View and demo, couldn't care less about. We're gonna go through and take a look at this. And let's see, this is switching. That was just cleaning up the name. Let's see this test here. That test is no longer relevant. These are cleaning up from the old property to the new generated stuff, which is even better. We love that. What's going on here? I will say one thing. There is a library I've been playing with on one of my other projects recently. And I'm sure most people are familiar with them. Here. This is something one of my clients was using for their unit test projects, and I was like, I've used it once or twice. It's okay. And initially I was going, it's just different syntax from a regular assert call. What's so great about this? And I'm slowly coming around to liking it. Slowly. I don't know if so. I'm currently at the point where I think I like it more than the built-in asserts for, say, XUnit or MS Test or similar. I'm at the point where I like it a little bit more, a little bit. There are a handful of nice things, and specifically the way to structure failure messages is a little bit nicer. Sometimes a lot nicer. In its way of doing it. Sometimes being able to go through and just have that cleaner failure, or more better comparisons, just feels nice. The thing that leaves me on the fence, there's a lot of this dot should be like, it's meant to read like a sentence. So for people who don't like long drawn out lines, sometimes these lines end up getting longer than the ones that were there before. So there's a little bit of that where it's like, that feels yucky. But I like my tests to be big and verbose, so it's not that bad. The other thing that gets weird is you'll note this should extension method is literally on the base class object. So it shows up everywhere in your tests. So there's a little bit of that where it's like, oh, that feels weird. Like, that feels really weird. So there's things like that, but it also has these things like assertion scopes, right? Where you can then like batch up all of your failure. Like there's little things like that where it's kind of nice. Like you don't need these features often, but when you do, they're kind like, I don't know if I would tell somebody go switch your library over to this. But if you were starting a brand new project, I was seriously contemplating putting this in to my templates for new projects because I kind of like it a little bit better than the built-in stuff. A little bit. Again, I don't think I like it enough to say go switch a new project over to it. But there's a lot here, and it's kind of nice. Like it adds a lot of little things that are kind of convenient. So yeah, so for what it's worth, if you're interested, check it out. Okay. We were here. Okay, that's fine. Let's see, is editable true? Okay, so this is the one with the comment. Look at the file as a whole. Basically, I've made a duplicate test for each of the existing tests in the class in order to mitigate the controls one by one as they adopt the smart hit approach. The difference in height is typically around half to 1 pixel, which is basically a rounding error as far as I'm concerned. But the test expected to match down to the third decimal. That does not work, and therefore I'm temporarily introducing these overloads. Okay. And honestly, I would even be okay getting this thing down to where it was within a pixel, one whole pixel, because one whole pixel is a rounding error. Like layout rounding is a thing. Like we talk about pixels as though they have fractions. Pixels can't be like, that's like saying half of a bit. It's not really possible, right? Rendering things do fancy things to try to make your eyes think that you get subpixel rendering. There is no concept of something smaller than a pixel. Like you get the pixel. The pixel has a color, and that is it. And there is fancy tricks on how to abuse that color and do magic with your eyes and whatnot. But at the end of the day, every pixel on my screen has one color at a time. That's it. Now, I may have a lot of pixels. Actually, not really. My monitors aren't that high res. I'm not running any 4K displays. And I know some of you out there are running like 8K displays and are like crazy mode stuff. But I am not. I am not that cool. Let's see. The other PRs adopting, you'll see move from to the sample combo box where you can see this happen. Once all styles have adopted the new approach, we can collapse into a single test with the original name again. Please don't convert the XAML input to raw string literals yet. I will do it post-adoption, or I clean up some of the leftovers. Okay. I like how Nikolai instantly assumed that I was going to go and tweak stuff because I can't resist. Thank you, Nikolai. I probably would have gone and tweaked stuff because I just cannot resist doing that thing. Okay. So we're going to look at this file here. We're just going to collapse this one. We'll just open that in VS. What are we looking at here? This is generated test. Couldn't care less. And by couldn't care less, what I mean is if the generated tests pass, I don't care to look at the content. I only care if they fail. Let's see, floating hint margin converter. Love being able to. This makes me happy. The list pattern matching. Mwah. So happy. So happy. And then I think that may have been the one that we edited last time. The default visibility, date, in pattern match. That's fine. Yeah, I think I'd left these at one point. There is an outstanding question about doing XML docs. Like it would be nice to XML docs all the things, and there's dial cop stuff you can turn on that will actually flag you if you don't appropriately apply XML docs to any public facing member. Some people turn that on. I have never turned it on because in my opinion the bar for entry gets a little too high for the library. And there's actually a kind of an ongoing debate with open source projects about whether you should turn on all the analysis stuff and increase that bar for entry because you want to make sure every PR that comes in is of a very high quality. I For some projects I think that makes sense. I would rather people contribute lower value PRs and allow and as long as they leave the box checked where I can go in and like push changes to it or similar, or worst case scenario, I'll just branch off of their branch. If somebody's willing to get a good, at least most of the way there, I'll carry it across the finish line. Right. So some libraries, it doesn't make sense to do that because it's like, no, I'm going to get spammed with PRs. Some people are blessed with tons of PRs. This library is not. And so I try to lower the bar for entry as much as possible to make sure that if somebody wants to contribute, I want that to be easy. Okay. Don't know if there's a lot I'm going to be catching. This might be another one that we look at. I don't think there's enough there. Okay, so we've got two things I want to go look at individually. The text field default hint and this one. Okay, so let's go here. And then yeah, reset me to that one. Thank you. And then let's go then so in case anybody wants to know it, you can go file, open in file manager, or my personal favorite, just Alt O, and you're in. Okay, so we're gonna take just a quick little gander at those two files. I want to try to stay up on this a little bit. This is going to be a big PR. Let's see. So let's look at text field default height test. Let's see. Text field default height test. Okay, so oh, it won't. Structure. Tempted. No, I'm not going to mess up Nikolai's branch. Not going to mess up Nikolai's branch. Okay. So this was his comment here about we've got a test like this, but then we've got the same test that's down here, and then being able to look at these things kind of side by side. I'm going to show you a really cool trick. Watch this. Okay, so in Visual Studio, there's this itty bitty little button that floats right here, right? Teeny little thing. Looks like a little hamburger with arrows coming out as though you shoved a toothpick through the whole hamburger, right? So we grab this and we go whoop, and now I've got my editor split between two places. So I can have the top one looking at this, and I can scroll the bottom one looking like this. Yeah, buddy. That's the way we do it. Okay, so same height with default style post smart hint refactor. So in this case here, I think the idea is collapsing just down to the text block. It's interesting that this one diffed out. Let me look at that diff again real quick. I think, yeah, so the idea here was the old ones were taken out and then new tests written. So a new one for the text box. And then clearly combo box is in progress. And yeah, and so this is switching this across. And again, Nikolai, if you're watching, I'm very okay if, excuse me, rather than precision being 3, if this were dialed down to a just within a pixel, I'm honestly okay with that. I think that is probably close enough. Obviously, exact matches would be perfect, but that's also kind of unreasonable in a lot of cases. Okay, same height with floating hint style. Got it. Okay, so these are all going to end up looking real similar. All right, so same idea here. That one switches, brings it across. I don't know why my Visual Studio has been losing its mind on its IntelliSense on these recent updates. I've been playing with the Visual Studio previews, and it has not been been always working great for me. Okay, so set here. I'm just gonna whoop, bring that guy back up, take back my whole space, because now that I understand what these things are doing, I don't know if this is much to do here. And again, this kind of assert true height greater than 0. I realize this is kind of a meaningless test at the moment, but in general, you do. This is not. Oh, see, this is another thing. Like, I want an assert greater than, because an assert true, if this fails, you don't get a good error message. Right? You end up having to type it. Whereas that Fluent Assertions gives you a nicer error message. It's little things like that where it's like, there's just it's just a little bit nicer, a little bit. Okay, get element, framework type, clever use. This / here, this is a XAML test syntax, one that I should probably document at some point. And honestly, these asserts are now kind of meaningless because get height is actually doing the assert internally. So yeah, it may be even worth renaming this to something like, assert height or something, and then pull that back. So it's like, okay, cool. Okay, so I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. That all makes sense. And I'm gonna go give Nikolai a thumbs up on the comment to let him know that that was actually read and looked at. I really shouldn't review his PRs early because I think he sometimes joins later in the stream. Okay, and then we were gonna look at the theme text box. Was the other one that I wanted to look at. The Xbox. Okay. Yeah, one key thing is a lot of these resources are moving inside of the style rather than outside, so we don't litter as much, basically. I I kind of have been liking the sticky scroll, by the way. There are times where it gets really annoying, and I feel like I might need to change the default, because it's got there's a max scroll. Tools, options, sticky scroll. Yeah, maximum sticky lines. Now, this view is garbage. Absolute trash. You'll note you can't read that, but I think we need to dial that down. Because 20 lines up here, like, just to be clear, 20, that's half my screen. In XAML, you can get some fairly deeply nested structures. I don't think I want 20. Okay, so let's take a look here at what we got going on. So, collapse of Visual State Manager. I don't think that's nearly as interesting. Outer border, scroll viewer, smart hint, because this is where a lot of the extra magic is coming into play. Inline horizontal offset, and this is where you get some of these what look like absolutely wacky bindings. But to some degree they make perfect sense. It's all of the massive inputs to be able to make them line up. And honestly, given how complicated this is, I'm surprised it's this simple. And honestly, just given that looks great. Like, at the end of the day, what really matters is launching the demo and seeing it work. Because I can stare at those, 9 or 10 bindings, and it's it's difficult to determine whether they're functioning properly. Obviously, those UI tests are a key factor in making sure that they work. I do love it when there's a particular bit of functionality and you launch the app at the end just to sort of make sure everything's working, but not really stressing about it because your test passed, therefore it must be working. Yeah, and I think this also fixed what we had last time because there was one of the defaults from the last bit of feedback that I had sent Nikolai was the prefix wasn't showing up until you started typing, which was very jarring. Like I don't mind the jump when focus is moving in, but it was weird having focus in there, moving to type and then seeing your bar jump a little bit. It so I think this feels a lot nicer. This feels a lot nicer. This already makes me very, very happy. Like the fact that we can do this with the hint is remarkably difficult. I am noticing that hint isn't lined up well. I don't think password box is expected to be working. Let's pick on the text box. See, that's better, right? So the big difference here, that text is lined right up in the middle of the line. The password box down below, which I don't believe is actually expected to be done yet, right? You can see how the middle line runs up high on the text, which is problematic. So don't do that. Yeah, and I think the date picker was another one that I know Nikolai was looking at. I didn't realize the time picker we didn't have outline styles for. That seems weird to not have a matching style. But Nikolai often will make these pages to show off the breadth of it, which is rather nice. Okay, cool. I'm gonna mark this here, and I'm gonna put an approve on here because in its current state, I would be very happy to let that merge. But we'll see where that goes. And then let's look at while we're in it, because this is a PR doing the combo box in to that same PR branch, right? So the intention was to document what it takes to adopt the new approach. And it also aligns the combo box style to match the layout in the text box better. Okay, so let's take a look. I am curious to understand this. So that we don't care about. This is the demo app. We're just going to look at that. And then these are the UI tests. I think I care as much since I know they passed. Generated file, don't care. Converter deleted, don't care. Though I do care a little bit. Oh, this is internal, so I don't care. We can delete internal stuff. Let's see here. Oh, so slick with them. Love it. I love it. I love the list pattern matching. Though, okay, so this is one that interests me. This is at like I get why this isn't a list pattern match. I think you can get. I think there's a way to do this though. Trying to think because the issue here is wanting to say I want a length greater than 2, but I don't actually care about the first or the first 2 elements, but I want to make sure the third element is a bool that is equal to false. Like there's subtly a bit of boxing that's going on here because you can see values here, right, is an object array. And so this is false, is effectively doing a boxing operation on it. Yeah. Oh, and you kind of have already matched the pattern out of here. Oh, interesting. Because here's your first 2. Interesting. Okay, whatever. It's a complicated thing. Trying to get clever with the pattern match is probably only going to make things worse. Generated file, don't care. Let's see. Theme generated file. Don't really care. The only thing I want to see is what these things are wrapped inside of. Actually, we'll get that from the JSON file. These names are a little generic, and I'm curious what they're underneath, just to see. Generated file. Don't care. Large diff. We'll take a look at. That's also generated. That's also generated. That's a white space change. Okay, so here are the interesting. Okay, so brush foreground. We are adding in some alternate keys for the same foreground brush. And okay, so that seems fine. Combo box. Okay, so the border and outline border, these are actually nested underneath the appropriate control types. That looks great. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so we have combo box here. And this is probably one that will be easier to review in Visual Studio, but we'll see here. So we bring the converter inside the control template. Great. Bring the focus style inside of the parent style. Great. Same with all of the other converters. Nest them underneath. Template bindings to pull those in. Seems fine. Pack icon. What I'm really looking for is wherever that smart hint. Text bar or text block visibility. This is the prefix. Okay. Content presenter, editable text box. Remember, this is the combo box control itself. There's the smart hint, which is where all of the interesting new stuff is happening. Ooh, I did something the other day. There we go. Move my big head to the other side. I made a cool thing and move myself around now. I just have to remember which button I've tied that to. G11, in case anyone. Okay, and these are what look to be very similar bindings for the offset margin or initial horizontal offset margin. Great. Box pop-up. There's a lot of white space in this. I just turn off hide white space. I don't want to see the white space. And I just don't care. And make it smaller. Not completely small, because a lot of this stuff was changed and moved around. Like, it bothers me that these things aren't set, but it looks mostly like a reordering to me. Let's see. Is keyboard focus? Again, some of these things, the proof will be in the pudding of just running the application. Izzy, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just started off with reviewing some PRs for the material design repository. These are the smart hint changes that Nikolai has been working on. We're going to take a quick look at this one, and then I think we're going to check out PR. And then I think what we're going to do is take a look at adding in the numeric up-down control. Let's see here. Oh. Look here. I'm getting pinged. Getting pinged by one of my colleagues who is helping me out on another project. Okay, let's fire the demo app up and take a look at this. Also, a really cool, let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can find it. So I know I've teased like the my Velopac project out for installers and similar. Let's see. Great. But a part of Velopac is using .NET Aspire, which if you haven't seen .NET Aspire, lots of sessions at the Build Conference. Check them out. But I'll tease this one out. The local .NET user group is sponsored by my company IntelliTech, and there is this great presentation coming up by Joshua Willis, who is a colleague of mine. I need to look and see. I don't remember if they are going to try to live stream or record this. I think the intent is yes, but I don't remember. Um, so if you're at all interested, feel free to sign up, because knowing how many people are interested definitely makes the decision about, hey, do we record / live stream this, a bigger deal. So if you are interested in that, sign up, drop a comment on there, and see. It's going to be a good one. Joshua's worked with me a bunch on the Velopac stuff and using .NET Aspire. I converted him. I believe his exact words were, I now want to use it for all my projects. So it can't be that bad now, can it? So if you don't know what it is, watch this session. It'll be great. Short version, cloud computing makes lots of things easier. Pretty dashboards, cool logging, fully customizable. More buzzwords here. Okay, combo box demo app. Okay, let's go down here. Password box, combo box style. So these ones here, and honestly, that's the one I'm most interested in. I am a little curious. That looks a little low. Can you do a stream on Velopac? Yes. 100% yes. I'm trying to decide. So, Izzy, let me know. Would you be, so there's two parts to Velopac. There's the SDK and the tooling, which is free and open source. And it will get you an installer very quickly and easily. The problem is that's where it ends, and you're kind of on your own for hosting. There's some helpful things about like posting to GitHub releases or an S3 bucket or similar, but the tooling itself is there, but it kind of just says, great, you've got an installer, you figure out how to host it. The thing that I was kind of dragging my feet on, that I was contemplating waiting on for demoing it, was showing what we are calling Velopac Flow, which is the SaaS offering that we're looking to host. So that, sorry, I'm just looking at this a little bit. There's a small difference here in where the floating hint goes. But Velopac Flow is the SaaS offering that handles all of the hosting for you. That way you could run a .NET publish and you're done. Now, that's a little tongue-in-cheek because there's a little bit of setup that goes along with that, right? Like you have to log in and have an account and that kind of thing. But you can get it down to posting a release is as fast as a .NET publish command will get you, which is really slick. Really slick. And it will definitely kill off your Wix installers. There are a handful of things I will mention. Because it was originally based on the Squirrel installer, it is designed to install quick and easy to the user's profile stuff, right? We've got some future enhancements that we want to do to start adding in what people would consider a more normal installer experience, for example. Because right now, you don't really prompt the user to take in input or similar. It's designed to just install really bloody fast, which is great, but then people want different customization. So just be aware that what Wix allows is the universe. What Velopac allows is much smaller, but typically what people care about is install my app, maybe I want to create some shortcuts or whatnot, because those are important so that it shows up in the start menu or desktop or whatever. And then I want to have automatic updates and all of that framework kind of in place and ready to go. Great. If that's what you want, it'll fit the bill. Awesome. Okay, sorry. The one thing I noticed on these combo boxes, the hint position is a little different, right? And I realize this is one of those things that's hard to see, right? So if we go here, right? I'm going to do this very small. You can see the pixels. If I do, I'm going to try to draw a flat line. I am just so zoomed in. My mouse is, we're going to dial down my sensitivity a little bit. My mouse is a little touchy right now. Okay, so we can see that the middle bar of the H is in line with the bottom of the outline color, right? Okay, that's the combo box. We go up to the text box, right? And we do the same thing, right? We can see that they're off. And this might be one of the things that Nikolai was commenting of off by a pixel. Does it matter? Not really. But it is a difference. And it was enough that it caught my eye. I don't know if it matters that much. I don't know. If they were side by side, maybe it would be a little more obnoxious, but it's a very minor thing. See, all I need is a silent installer with some custom config files and firewall settings. Okay. So for your config files, are those just artifacts, the files that just get deployed alongside your application? And the firewall settings, there's not currently installer support for doing firewall settings. What it does provide, however, is I'm going to show this off real quick because why not? Why not? Okay, so if we go Velopac IO, let's see, integrating app hooks. So what is where is this? Where's the callback code? Yeah, so these guys here. So you do get these types of hooks available, yeah, with a bit of text replacements. Okay, so if all you need is the files bundled up, the source file for Velopac is a NuGet package, and there's a big asterisk next to that. It doesn't need to be a NuGet package. The only thing the NuGet package is a zip file with a well-defined manifest. That we could use any zip file with a well-defined manifest. It just so happens that NuGet packages, there was a lot of tooling already built around them, so we just kind of abused that, right? So short version, the deployment artifact is a zip file with a manifest inside of it. That's it, right? So if your config files are put into your output directory, like alongside your app, great, you're good to go. Not hard, right? And if you need to do some customizations, you can do like a .NET build, run whatever, or I guess you can do a .NET publish, make whatever changes you need to, and then do the Velopac publish if you need to separate those two steps because you need to do something in the middle, right? That's a possibility. But you do get these callback hooks. So to some degree, custom things like potentially firewall settings are similar. And again, there comes to be a question of should your app be able to make these changes, right? Because sometimes making those changes requires elevation. Your app is not designed to run with elevation, those types of problems. But for some customizations, these hooks work well for people. Firewall settings may or may not be a good candidate. But I'm going to make a quick note of that for our stuff. And actually, one other thing I will point out, where is our, if you are interested too, so one, velopac.io, and then if you've got questions, jump into the Discord chat. I have been trying to pay attention to it, but honestly, I've got so many notifications popping up. Yeah. However, my partner Kalen, who I will argue knows the SDK significantly better than myself, mostly because he wrote most of it, is very active in there and has been helping people through questions. So drop a line in there. Let them know that you came from my stream, and let them know that wanting the firewall settings would be a nice addition for use cases, because we're trying to collect what people need, because obviously with an installer, people want the massive power of Wix, and we probably are not going to implement the massive power of Wix. Like, there's just too much there. But for common use cases, we want to start making it to where it can be an easy yes of, oh, of course you can set firewall settings. Here's how you do it. Because this is designed to try to be an easy installer, right? We're not going to expose the full power of everything, because at a certain point, if you need huge amounts of customizations, we're not the right solution for you. You probably need to build something special. But most people don't need much. Most people are just like, I want to get my app onto my users' machines. I don't want to think too hard. So, okay, cool. And honestly, you know what? We might even just go and play with that. Yeah, because I've actually been contemplating, once we get the Velopac flow stuff going, I may move our demo app over to deploying with it. Because right now it's hard for people. There's the pre-compiled binaries that people could download and run, but I'm like, you know what? It would be really nice if I could push updates to the demo app, like, because sometimes I push a release and then I realize, shoot, the demo app had something wrong. It'd be nice to just push it, right? Be real slick. Real slick. Oh, cool. How did the 5.0 upgrade go? Any major problems? Were the migration docs sufficient? I guess are the big questions. Because if there were problems, I would love to address those. Okay, so the combo box looks good. I'm gonna leave only one minor comment. The positioning of the floating hint on the outline style appears to be 1 pixel lower than on the box style. Not a big deal. Did catch my eye. Ba-bum. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so had to use the shim for 2 solutions, but I think that is because of extensions. Oh, you're using the material design extensions library? That is very likely. There's a number of places where things that were built on material design are probably going to be broken because of my changes. Specifically, anything that's going to end up using the dynamic resources. Okay, we're going to try something hard. First of all, which files are touched by this? We're going to show how to do insane things with Git here in a minute. Okay, so couple things. I only care about a few things here. So we've got the user control. This is the key file we want to keep, right? This is a brand new file, not likely to have conflicts. We're good, right? Generics .xaml, probably conflicts, right? But it's one line, not a big deal. Okay, great. This one, this is the style and the look. I realized I typed the word matte blazer instead of mud blazer. That was dumb of me. Yeah, we might go with I think we might do a slightly cleaner. We might change the look of this a little bit, but whatever, right? So we've got this, right? And then we've got these demo app ones, right? So this is a new file, not likely to be a conflict. New file, not likely to be a conflict. Existing file, maybe a conflict. We'll see. I don't know how many new pages we've added. This might cause us a problem. Okay, but I will also point out these commits were done in April 25th of 2023. I want you to know, if I wait until next week, this can be a year old. Let's see. I'm looking to make a form and update it a bit. Maybe use as a staging ground for possibly some additions to your repo. Oh, cool. Yeah, please do. Please do, Izzy. Always happy to take PRs. Okay, so we're going to go here. And then step 1, close Visual Studio, because Visual Studio is not going to like what I'm about to do. Okay, right click, and we're going to, so this, again, I absolutely love Gitkraken for this, right? So if you click on the PR, you can kind of review it and do all this stuff and blah blah blah, right? You've got this add as a remote and all of that stuff, but secretly down here we've got this add remote, and check out branch. Perfect. That's exactly what I'd like to do. Add remote, check out branch. Bippity boppity booyah. So it does the needful, and now I'm back here, right? And so you'll note the last change on here was some minor changes from a live stream that apparently I did, again, almost a year ago, right? Great. Okay. Kind of liking myself in the bottom left-hand corner. My big head covers up less. I may move it when we get to coding, but at least here, it seems like I'm less in the way. Maybe I should stay over here. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Okay, so step one. We would like to be not in last year. We would like to be in this year because this year is cooler than last year. And oh, dear heavens, I have way too many branches. I need to clean up my branch list. I got 120, no, 32. Whew. I was like, wow, that's terrified for a moment. Okay, so normally I would take this guy here and drag it on top of the branch that I want to rebase onto. There's a bit of an issue with that in that it's way up there, like way up there. So we're going to come over here and I'm going to right click. So you'll note that I did pull my master as well, just to make sure that it was my local master was in sync with my remote master, right? So if I right click here, what we're going to do an interactive rebase. I think we're going to end up keeping everything here. So interactive was not really necessary versus a regular one, but sometimes it's worth looking. Holy cow. Yeah, I lied. I said this was going to be an interesting rebase. Apparently it's just going to work. That's utterly terrifying. Okay, so let's rock and roll. Because clearly I have push permissions because I pushed to this last time. Okay, I just got to remember my big head is over this corner now. So if I start talking about something in the bottom left, somebody yell at me. Okay, so step one, let's fire the demo app up and let's take a look at this new control and see what it looks like. I just want to make sure it works. Visual Studio has to spend a minute rebuilding the universe because we just rebased its world and it lost its mind going, you time traveled. We did. That's what makes it fun. Okay, so if I do here, numeric up, down. Okay, so we got this. Okay, more or less works. Okay, I do think, and we're going to go, let's go here. Material design components. I would like to go in here. I don't think there's a numeric up-down control, but I just want to confirm that before I get too carried away. Because if there is some prior art to base this on, I would like to mirror that behavior. It doesn't look like there is. This is a common enough control that we can find other material design libraries. This is one of those areas that people get confused about, is they'll look at a particular material design implementation and go, oh, that must match the spec. That's not true. Every material design implementation out there, including Google's, deviates from the spec somewhere for something on some app. So just know that it takes it with a grain of salt, because oftentimes people go, why don't you implement this great control that I found in some other material design library? It's like, well, if it's not in this list, it's not actually one of Google's, which means I don't feel a huge urge to implement it. And so there has to be a genuine need. I will say this though, if somebody else wants to go through the effort of building the custom control and submitting a PR, I am happy to look at accepting them, because the maintenance of a control is not nearly as big as the creation of one, at least in my opinion. So if somebody actually goes through the effort of creating one, I'm happy to get those in. And there's a number of the custom controls that have gotten into the library by going that route. So just know that if you want a custom control in the library, all you have to do is implement it. And again, as long as it's implemented well. What the heck is this? I'm on search. Google. There. Okay. Thank you. That was weird. Yeah, and some controls just don't make sense inside of WPF land, and we're not likely to ever implement them. So it would be nice to have this rich tooltip at some point, which is basically a pop-up control, more or less how it would get implemented, probably. Okay, so I don't see any good prior art to base this on. So I think, close a couple of these down. I think what we are going to look at doing is, let's see. I realize this was bad. I think I kind of like the Mud Blazer approach. I think it seems simple enough. Now there's some weirdness going on here that I'm not sure I like. So you'll note when I'm tapping on this, the ripple effect is on the entire area. That may or may not be a useful thing. But I think we like this. Let's check out some of the others. Okay, so there's that. Would be nice to put a few more examples showing commands, min, max, and other styles. Okay, so the demo needs to be, and then we've got some, for commands, we should create a new dependency property. Yeah, so this looks like it is doing probably iCommand or similar. Yeah, and these ones here. Here are some examples of what we usually see in the UI. Plus minus. And I could see going with the side-by-side approach. I'm tempted to implement, honestly, the side-by-side might even be easier. But let's dive in and take a look at this guy. Okay, so numeric up-down control. It'd be cool to get this guy going. Okay, so we want to look at event value changed. So this should be a routed event bubbling. Good. That's fine. Dependency properties, min, max. Okay, here's the commands. Okay. Comment. I hate it when you leave a comment and you don't remember what you were thinking from a year ago. For the commands, we should create a new dependency properties for the command parameters. Oh, the command parameters are what are missing. Right, because this is passing null. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I'm now questioning. Current Kevin is questioning what past Kevin was thinking. Let's see. We're just going to crash and body a couple of these things because C#, has had a major version release since the last time we looked at this. Okay, so mouse wheel. I think I want to offer an option for disabling this because this is definitely one of those behaviors that should probably not be on, only because as you're scrolling through a form, it's really obnoxious. You get over a control that captures mouse wheel and then stops your scroll and cycles the value. So admittedly, this first check is keyboard focus within. So your focus would already have to be in there. Still feels potentially awkward. Feels like something I don't want always on by default. Okay, so a couple things there. I am wondering on these command parameters if it might be better On increase. Okay, so what was I doing? Comment on button. What was I commenting about? Commands. We should create a new dependency property for the command parameters. This should be how button works. So the idea is that like button, for example, has an on-click command. Or let me rephrase. Button has a command property that is triggered when the button is clicked. Right? This thing has an increase command that is triggered on increase, which occurs in a number of places. I am thinking that this might need to be similar. I'm just trying to decide. Yeah, because if somebody wants the value, they can always do it. Yeah, okay. Current Kevin now agrees with past Kevin's assessment. So let's see. So up execution. What is it? Prop DP. There. Boom. Object. Uh, increase and parameter. Boom. Okay. So type of object, not that. Type of numeric up down. Default value of null. We can do name of here. At some point, I'm going to go through. You can technically tweak these templates, but changing the built-in ones is kind of a pain in the butt. But I may look at doing something like that because it's really annoying. Okay, there's that. This one was set to default. I don't know if that's any cleaner than just saying null. Okay, and then on increase, rather than doing here, we are going to go with hash the value. I don't think you do. We do that. So can execute. Defaults to false if the command isn't set, and then passes through. Okay. Same thing with decrease. Go here. Prop DP. Yeah. And just to be clear, this thing didn't sit because it was bad code for a year. It sat because I was working on the 5.0 release, and I didn't want to put this as part of the 5.0 release. So it wasn't necessarily anything bad about this. Parameter. Boom, boom, boom. Numeric up down. Numeric up down. Null there. Rid of the question mark because null reference types doesn't work that way. Name of. Bum. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so that goes like that. That. Expression body, all the things. Expression body, all the things. Okay, great. Okay. Got that. We got that. Got a value changed. Value Does not raise when interesting. I kind of expected this. Where are you used? Oh, you're inside of the property. Hey, JC, welcome. Welcome. We are taking a look at doing the numeric up down control and getting that merged into the material design repo. It's been a little while. Like a little while. Okay, this gives me pause here. text box field. This is okay. This is a template part. That's good. Got the default style metadata. Got our onApply template. So for custom controls like this, it's important to remember that there's the separation between the behavior of the control and the look of the control. Right now in the C#, we are focused on how this control behaves. Okay, so if apply template gets invoked twice, it properly unregisters some stuff. It pulls out the template child, grabs them. Is this? It's all used inside of here. I assume where else is text box field derived from? Roll. Just wondering if having this thing derived from control is appropriate, or if this thing should derive from text box itself. There's a lot of benefits to having it derived from text box itself. Most notably, not needing a text box. But there are disadvantages as well, as then you are getting everything from Xbox. Not bad though. Really what we want is something that just prevents the value from changing. Like let's fire this guy up again and look. What stops me from typing the letter A in? I don't know if there's much that stops me from that. Let's see here. I do this and I type A. Nothing stops me. That concerns me a little bit. That concerns me a little bit. I mean, obviously it autocorrects as soon as you tweak it. But feels like on committed that shouldn't do that. So the advantage of deriving from control is then you don't have to worry about somebody like data binding to your text property, for example. And they're now forced to bind through the value property. Probably better. Probably better. But given that that text box exists. Oh, so on focus lost, it'll coalesce. What? Oh, is the else case just not needing to be implemented? Is that the deal? I go here and tab away, right? This is going to not parse as an int. Whenever Visual Studio catches up. Come on. Yeah. So this feels like, yeah, a paste validator. I'm actually okay with letting the user type random garbage in here. I think I'm actually okay with that as long as if this actually works properly. So because if this doesn't work, what we actually want to do, because where is the, I think, value property? Yeah, I think what we actually want to do is this. Like, we actually want to come in here. We want to do something like else if. Well, okay, so let's start with a few things. One, we're doing a lot of work here. If text box field is text box, let's eliminate the null case. It's not likely to occur. It shouldn't show up. We're gonna get rid of that. Okay, so do this. Null no longer exists. Great. Okay, So inside of here, because I mean, we lost focus on what? This guy has to be non-null for us to lose focus on it. This is not a needed bang. This is not a needed bang. This is not. I think this might have been an artifact of the old compiler that was stupid and couldn't keep track of stuff. Maybe not. Feels like it might have just been a mistake. Okay, so if this didn't work, actually, yes, Copilot, that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you. Freaking show off of an AI. Remember, Copilot, I'm still the developer, darn it, and I will insult you if I want to. Just because you got the answer right doesn't mean that you're always going to. Okay, this way, because I think that gives a better experience if we have something like this where you type in, that garbage. Just to be clear, I'm going to get rid of that. Tab, okay, puts it back. Better. I think I like doing a UI more akin to this. Because if we're here, right, up, down, arrow keys, and then mouse wheel is also working. We need to add a property to turn the mouse wheel off. Maybe we should do the keyboard. Change. So I think we're gonna have something that we allow typing and something where we don't. I think that would be much better here. Let's do prop DP. Now, problem is what do we call this thing? So it's clearly a bool. And then what do we call the setting for allowing mouse wheel? Allow change on mouse wheel? Is that clear enough? I'm trying to think of that. I don't know if this is clear. Right? Is that clear enough? Allow change on mouse wheel. Allow value change on mouse wheel. Now we're just getting long. Accept mouse wheel. Okay, if anyone has bright ideas, I'm all ears because I don't know what to name this thing. Let's see. And then I think we'll default it to true. Is it bad? Because it only triggers allow change on scroll. That is much better. I like that. Thank you. There. The question now becomes, what's the appropriate default? True or false? It feels like opt-in behavior to me. I'm tempted to default it to false. Tempted to do that. I think that I don't think it's behavior I would expect to occur by default. Right? It's I don't like it on WPF forms when like text boxes steal my mouse wheel and do that crap. Again, it requires focus, so it's not as big of a deal. But we'll just do something like this. And we'll do that. That'll... I'm not sure how I feel about this. Okay, Copilot, what's the next one? Come on, you wrote the first one. You couldn't write the end region for me? Okay. I'm going to think about what we may want as any... I'm trying to decide if having these enabled by default and not having a way to turn them off doesn't feel that bad to me. We'll see. I suspect there's additional customizations people are going to want here, but let's look at the UI side of the fence for the moment. Themes, and then we're going to go numeric up down. There. Okay. Now we've switched gears. We are no longer in the behavior side of the control. This is going to be how the control is going to look. And you'll note this is a dependent style here. I'm going to clear off some of these comments. I don't think that's overly helpful. The other thing that I would like to do is I would like to give this a different name. The idea here is going to be, go look at what we called these guys. It's text box base. I want the top level controls. Probably at the bottom. Okay. Material design, numeric up down. So we want to give all of these guys keys. Material design, numeric up down. With the data grid, the auto-generated columns look better than the custom columns in auto-generated columns look better than the custom columns in edit mode. Is this intended? Well, yes and no. And I'll clarify what I mean by that. So there are a handful of cases. So the grid. There are a handful of your authorization was. I didn't know I was authorizing. Visual Studio, I wanted to open a file. Okay, Visual Studio, why is oh, because I'm in external sources. Okay, that's exciting. Not where I was trying to go. Okay, so there is a data grid assist class. So specifically when we're talking about what's being set up on the data grid, the auto-generated columns, because these guys here, you'll note this style it's not defaulted here, but I think the default style is. So it does this apply material design style for column, and you'll note depending on the type of column it is, it goes through and intentionally pulls out some of these styles, right? So if we just pick on, say, the text one, right? So if we go here, I believe the default style for this guy. So the material design data grid. So this style here is the default style for your data grid. There are some attached properties that are set on that style for auto-generated things like text style, right? Which means that your data grid text columns are automatically picking up this style here. Now, there's nothing stopping you from taking these styles here and just directly applying them to your styles as well, right? Because all this assist class ends up doing is when columns are automatically generated, it just goes through and says, okay, where's the text column? For the text column, I'm going to set the element style and the element editing style of that column. So if you have your own data grid text column, you could apply this same template, right? Auto-generating editing text style. So that one there, and the text style. And again, pick out the Pick out the relevant 2 for whichever column types you're talking about, JC. But if what you end up doing, where's my solution? Oh, filtered. That's why. But for example, in the data grid, where is a good example? Yeah. So for example, this guy here in the demo app, the editing element style and the element style are then being appropriately set. You'll note these ones are slightly different than what's coming from the attached class. So depending on what you want them to look like and behave with, you may need to set these 2 properties on your one. Let's see, you call out the description. Yeah. So description, because this is just a regular text column, nothing is setting these 2 properties. This guy, I don't doubt, looks somewhat worse. And that's just an artifact of the fact that we can't do anything about these columns. There's not a way to implicitly apply styles to these things. So if I wanted to fix description, right, to make it look like the auto-generated one, what I would end up doing is I would end up going with like editing element style, static resource, and then I'd go over here. Let's see, editing text style. So I'd probably grab this one. We come back here and go plop there, and then I'd go element style, static resource, and then I would grab, let's see, text style here. I'd plop that in, and now if we take a look at it, it should, in theory, look as good as the auto-generated ones, or at least look the same, right? That auto-generating feature is actually, it's both a blessing and a curse. Now we get this behavior rather than the white box like what we were getting before. So the other way you can work around it is you'll note there's a material design data grid text column, which is different than the data grid text column, right? And the advantage here is we can then apply extra stuff because it's now one of our types. But because the data grid column here, right, this guy doesn't have a style property. So there's no way for us to apply an implicit style to this element like we would some other XAML element in WPF. It's just because it's not a real thing. So yeah, something like this fixes it. Before, what used to happen is the bug reports that would come in is people would always yell and complain and go, my auto-generated columns don't look as good as the other ones. And then it might have been Nikolai, I don't remember. Somebody put in the auto-generating column feature, which was great, right? Now the auto-generating ones all look nice. But then what ends up happening is now we get the bug reports like what you said, JC, where it's like, wait a minute. Now the auto-generating ones look great and the other ones look bad. It's like, well, yes, but that's only because data grids are hard. So yes, long answer for the question, give or take a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting pinged. Ba-ba-bum. Okay, cool. I will reply to it. Okay, up down. There we go. And real quick, Izzy, sorry, my Velopac partner came online. He is in a very different time zone than me, so we only communicate. It's kind of like most of you folks that are over in the Europe side of the pond. Whereas it's late for me, it's bloody early for you. Um, about okay. So Izzy, I just floated the idea of the firewall settings over. See what happens. Okay. I think what we're gonna go here because this is a very this is a stupid simple template. This is actually a great control to demonstrate the simplicity of doing a custom control in WPF. Right. The basic elements are you have a style. The style sets the template property. The template has a control template, and that defines the layout. See you, JC. Good luck. In this case, there's just a border. The border allows some of these properties. And this is one of the interesting things that happens a lot is people forget that sometimes what happens is there is not a easy way to set all of the properties. So for example, this template is only using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total controls. That's it. Um, which is fine, but it's not quite what we want to end up doing. There's also a weird thing going on here with this command binding. Something's up here. We'll look at that in a minute. But you can imagine if you were to set a property, I'm trying to think of one. My mind is a blank at the moment. But for example, if we were to delete this padding assignment now is meaningless, right? So often with custom controls, the bug reports that come in are, hey, I set property X, it didn't do what I expected, right? It either just didn't work because that property wasn't being consumed by the control template somewhere, or it was being consumed in a way that didn't make sense. Or occasionally there's a value converter or something on it, and it's like, well, I typed in 4, but I got something a lot bigger than 4. Well, yeah, that happens sometimes. Like, for example, the floating hint stuff that we were looking at earlier, right? There's math that's being applied. You type in a value, you get something and you get something very different. Uh, okay. So the other thing that's a little more interesting down here is stuff like this. This is kind of an unusual way to end up um, doing commands because most people when they learn commanding in WPF, they learned it from the perspective of building an app. And so the command is it's a thingy that implements iCommand, and it's something that I put in my view model, right? And that's the way it works, which that is mostly true, right? Let's go pick on buttons, probably one of the simplest, right? Um, you'll note in here, I hunt for command, right? Command doesn't show up anywhere inside my button template at all, right? And the idea here is the command of a button is the thing that the control is going to fire when the user interacts with the control, right? So the code behind of the button grabs the command that was set on that property and then fires it appropriately. Now we've already done that, right? We've got our increase, decrease, right? That end up getting, I shouldn't say fire, executed is the better word, right? So it will attempt to execute the control, and away we go. Now it's also interesting here. I'm kind of wondering if the increase commands can execute returns false. Should we not be bumping the value? Like this is one of those weird things where I'm not entirely clear of what the expected behavior. There's a weird interaction here. But short version, we shouldn't be binding these here, right? These should not be coming through. Because what's going to end up happening, because these things are named part increase button, part decrease button, the code behind on its apply template is going to pull these things out based upon that name, right? So we can see part increase button, right? Same for decrease. So it goes into the template, finds the thing by name, pulls it out, and then it's going to interact with it. Specifically, in this case, it's going to interact with the click event, right? So you'll note this feel for people who are used to MVVM, this is like terrifying mode. It's like, you're using code behind and you're registering for events. Bad, bad, bad. It's like, well, okay. But remember, we're building the library for this, not an app. The whole point of MVVM that people often seem to forget is you have that clear separation of concerns. A big part of that is to enable easy testing, right? Because you don't want to have to stand up an entire WPF app to test some little bit of interaction. Wasteful, right? You want to have that clear separation between what logic goes in my view and what part goes in my view model. So I think here what we're going to end up doing is to bring the two buttons to the right. Special. We do, right? So this is a dock panel. I'm kind of wondering if it would be better to do a grid than a grid column definition, right? And then we'll do grid column definition with, well, let's just do that, right? Boom, boom. And then with auto, right? And then with auto. And I think part of, yeah, we'll see. Something's amiss. And I'm trying to remember now what is the standard minus then plus. That makes cool. Hey, Izzy, check this issue out. So this is Wizard install. It would only be available for Windows, but it would be an integration into Wix. So this is my partner, Kalen. This was his response in terms of the question earlier about firewall settings as part of Velopac. The one-click install is obviously the default that we want to stick with, but by integrating with Wix, this then opens up the customizations of Wix to be brought in, and so then the sky's the limit. Well, I should say sky's the limit. You have all of the power that Wix gives you at your disposal as customizations to be able to brought in. So check this out. See if this looks like it would meet your needs. It's obviously not something that's done, but if you want to know when it's done, hit the subscribe button. Okay. So, and then down here, we want to do, yeah, and like I said, feel free to comment on there and let me know if that doesn't look like it's going to meet your needs. Because again, we want to find out what people actually need, right? And if you've got a use case, I would love to hear it. Okay, so I think we're gonna do this. Except for I did these backwards. It was minus then plus. I put these in the wrong order because I'm an idiot. Okay, so we fixed the Kevin is stupid part. And then I think what I want to do here is I want to change button style. We have a flat button style. I think we want to go here. We want to leverage this one. And this is one of those cases where I'm thinking I'm going to hard code this, but this feels like something that might want to be a customization at some point, right? I can see somebody saying, "Hey, I really want to leverage this, and and maybe I want to change the minus plus content. Maybe I want to change the style, right? I'm not going to deal with it." Oh, they say, welcome. Or Kalen. Hey. Hang on. Battlefield promotion time. By one moment. Incoming Battlefield promotion. Because I have the power to do this kind of stuff. Where is my... Where's my button? Thank you for joining. I wasn't actually expecting you to drop in. Here's my... Add new. Boom. Save. Congratulations, Kalen. You just became a VIP. Because I can do that. Yay. Okay. Okay, so we got that there. Fire this up and see what it looks like. And then I think we may end up just promoting this PR out of draft. See that? You got the pretty little pink diamond thing. And Visual Studio is going to start crashing on me at some point. Visual Studio, this was not supposed to be a hard operation. We just changed some button styles. Death. Bad visuals. Make me restart you. It'd be really horrible if you were going to die on me. Anytime now, Visual Studio. Yeah. What I heard is die, Visual Studio, die. This is the perks of running the preview Visual Studio builds. Occasionally that happens. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Okay. Let's try this again. Visual Studio, please compile and run a simple WPF application. This is not hard. This should not be hard. Then I think the only thing that this control is going to be lacking is a couple UI tests and better samples in the demo. Okay, so clearly that doesn't work. Oh, and the reason it doesn't work, because I'm a moron. We went through and changed this style by adding an X key onto here called Material Design Numeric Up-Down. The problem is when we look at the Numeric Up-Down code behind, the default style key that it is looking for is not Material Design Numeric Up-Down. It is looking for a style key that is keyed on the type of the class. Normal. That is simple. I know, Izzy. I know. Because it is keyed looking for a style whose X key is the type, it ends up not finding anything. So what we want to do is something very similar to what we can look at, like our chip. This is setting up a what do we do for? Did we cases? I did. I hate this. Oh, that is so disgusting. Okay, so here's what I don't like. Is these are referred to as implicit styles, meaning they don't have an X key defined, so it is implicitly inferred from the target type, and so the key it becomes equal to the target type. Great, that's an implicit style. The problem being is most people to derive from this becomes now a little bit of a challenge because styles have a based on property. You can tell them, hey, this style is based on insert other style here, right? And you typically do static resource, blah, blah, blah. And the issue with having the default be implicit is it requires the consumer to know that they have to go X type, WPF dialog host in this case, right? in order to be able to have, and this is now a circular dependency because this is now based on itself, but it requires somebody to be able to know how to do this. I'm not sure I like that. So I think what we're going to do instead, because that's kind of yucky, we're going to go down here, style, target type, let's see, WPF, come on. Oh, Numeric Up-Down. Oh, I'm debugging. That's why it's being. Sorry. There you go. Give me IntelliSense. Thank you. Based on static resource, hero design, numeric up-down, and I'm just going to self-close this tag. Right. So I now have an implicit style whose base class is the name style. But it means that now if somebody wants to, do their own template, they have a common style that they can start from. Right? They aren't required to go all the way off of it. The other thing that this helps with is if you build something like a Maui application, not all XAML frameworks support having a based on with an X type as a key. They want a string in it, Maui. And so this pattern here translates better to other frameworks for what it's worth. Hey, look at that. Now we go up. Now we go down. Yay! We have a style. Okay. Now, there's a couple things that are a little weird. But overall, I think I like this much better. I like this much better. Okay. That's going to get us much further along than I thought. I at some point I think what we need is the outline and the filled look, same as what the other text box has. But those can come a little bit later. Let's jump to the UI test real quick. WPF. And then I don't think we have one created yet. Let's add Numeric Up-Down because I would like tests. Love my tests. Must have tests. Let's see. New class. Numeric Up-Down. Tests. This is going to be a fairly simple one because we just really have a text box and two. Is there a min and max property? There are, and that's actually part of. Rather than working on the demo side of those things, I was going to do it with tests to make them work. Because that's the other thing that's kind of bothering me is the. Where are they? I think they are in the callback of the value property. So there's your min max there, and I think they just default to int max value and int min value. Yeah, defaults there. They don't look like they're actually respected anywhere though. So that's exciting. Oh, there they are. They are respected. The coerce callback. So on the value property, the coerce numeric up down pulls in the value, implement, and away you go. Yeah, and that's the thing is the extensions library is good, but it does implement several controls in a very MVVM style rather than in a custom control style, which I'm not a huge fan of. So it definitely works and it fills a need. And I don't think all of the controls that are in it would ever make it into the main library, but we can, for some of these, we can start to clean them up a little bit. Okay. So for the test, we're going to do test base, right? And were you going to do it all for me? Thank you, Copilot. Oh, come on. You were doing so well. You were doing so well. Okay. Okay. On mouse over, background is set. No, Copilot. Let's see. Numeric buttons increase and decrease value. Okay. So we need to. Why are you not finding the type? Numeric up down. Ooh, isn't that the class? Am I crazy? I am not crazy. What am I just stupid? Load XAML. Class name. Yes. Load XAML. Oh, dang it. So this is, you'll note all of these ones here. The names of the namespaces is plural. This is intentional because if you don't, you get a naming conflict. This here is matching the namespace, not the class name, which is why it's not working. Dang nabbit. Numeric up-downs just sounds weird. Whatever. Hey, look at that. Boom. Yeah. Thanks, Izzy. I've had enough caffeine. I almost feel like I know how to code. Oh, look at that. It did the needed. Okay, so we're gonna start the value at 1. We're gonna do this guy here, and I believe we just do material design. Ba-ba-bum. Weird. Okay, whatever. Okay, and then dropped a quote somewhere along the lines. Oh, that's why it looks weird. I'm like, man, something seems wrong about this. Okay, great. Numeric up down. Var plus button gets let's see, wait. Numeric up down. Oh man, it is on point. It is on point. It doesn't know that the slashes for types. But you know what? You're doing good, Copilot. Don't really need that. We're gonna just look at the value. Maybe we should look at the text as well. Yeah, we can do that. Pull the text box out. Okay, now. Okay, that's fine, but that's not really what we're going for. Okay, so plus button click. That's correct, Copilot. Then we expect that. Now minus twice. There. Minus one more time. I mean, I guess that works. You were doing so well, Copilot. You were doing so well. I almost believe in you. Okay. This is pulling the text, but I also want to do assert equal. I want to value ensure that I get the right one. So you'll note that this guy here, get value, isn't a method that actually exists on my numeric up down. The reason is because these guys here are all implemented as extension methods. There's a cool trick I've got. We call it, Kevin remembers where he put his attributes. There we are. So if I do this, and I come over here and I do numeric up down, I order it LMOP, right? And then I come back over to my test. Get value now magically exists. So what is happening is XAML test has a source generator behind the scenes that rips through all of the controls that are defined here and generates up extension methods for accessing all of their dependency properties. It's also secretly doing that inside of itself for all of the built-in WPF types. And it gens extension methods for almost all the properties. There's a handful of them that are on an exclusion list because either the property type is something that can't be reasonably serialized or similar. So there's a handful of those. So we can do this, just like that. We almost had to think. We wrote a UI test. Okay, Visual Studio, run my UI test. Pretty please. I'm very happy that it even knew to put the test recorder at the top. Copilot, you so awesome. You so awesome. My app. It failed. Why did you fail? Okay. What did you fail on? Name cannot begin with the one character. Well, that sounds like a syntax failure. What did I do wrong? Oh. I am inside of a multi-line string literal. or a here string or a here doc string or whatever the name is that I can't remember right now. Okay, now we've got, go here. Boom, collapse you. Okay, let's see. Material design flat button, could not find resource. This is useful, right? So if somebody were to bring this in, our style is not being brought in. The issue here is it works in the demo app because the demo app basically imports everything. But this guy here is referencing a resource dictionary that he is not directly including. So we just need to import it. Merge dictionaries, resource dictionary source, and then material design. Trail design. I can't remember my own bloody name. I just author the library. It doesn't mean I know anything about it. We need the button one. Yeah, you. Gimme. You. Okay. Oh. I am already in a resource dictionary. I do not need a resource. There. Okay. Back to tests. Roll that up so my big head's not in the way. Run test. Rosting literal. Thank you, Izzy. Maybe I should finish my Mountain Dew. It might help the brain work again. Okay, so that was useful. We clicked the button, and then it did not immediately change. So the question is, was it a speed problem? I guess let's start with this. Which line failed? 29 and 30. So it's the minus button down here that ended up being problematic. So let's do a wait for. I suspect this is timing, and that because the XAML test doesn't know anything about the like timing of elements, so it will just rip through things. And I'm on coffee 3 already. Somehow it does make me feel a little better, Izzy. I don't know why. No, my ooh, thank you, Copilot. Yes, that's exactly what I was about to do. And then the other one we don't need to wait on. Try this. If this doesn't work, we'll set a breakpoint and actually stop the app so we can test it. There. There it works. Okay, so it was just a little too fast. A little too fast on the check. Okay, so numeric up down. Okay, so now we're gonna do the max min stuff and make sure all of these things apply, because I think there is a numeric up down with maximum prevents. Okay, so what I would like to do here is basically the same, but I want to do maximum equal to 2. And yeah, we could keep all of this here. Okay, so we don't need to test the initial value. We want to click the button, wait for it to go to 2. Then we want to do this again, right? And we want to assert. Well, actually, I don't know if we want to click it again and assert that it doesn't change. I think what I actually want to do is down here. I think I want to make the button should disable when you hit the cap, I believe. Because when you are at your maximum, you shouldn't have the enabled button there. So, hey, Copilot, check that the plus button is disabled. Worthless. Okay. Assert false await plus button get is enabled, right? Boom. So it should be disabled. And then then it should be re-enabled. Let's do this. Disables plus button. Right? And I'm fairly confident this thing's gonna fail. And like we could make sure that clicking doesn't do anything. Okay, so conveniently did fail. I hopefully it failed right where we expect. We can see all of our output. Let's see. Expected false, but was true. Right? So right here. So it is not appropriately disabling, not shocking. That's kind of what we expected. The trying to decide where I want to actually handle this at. I'm tempted to handle it in the code behind here of ensuring that this thing's can execute works properly. I mean, we should probably also just for kicks and giggles, let's actually just a plus button left click, right? So we're gonna do this. If we were to go past this, right? What is my base class? Am I set to attach? Attach debugger to remote process. I would like to turn that off. Okay. Because I wanna just verify that when we bypass that plus and click the, because we're clicking the plus button twice, we should see it still cap it too. Now, obviously, once we disable the button, yeah, there we go. So it ends up stopping there, right? Perfect. That's what we expect. And if it's not obvious, we're at our breakpoint. This is the wonderful part about this UI test library is I can do this and have it not hang. Or we can flip that boolean back and attach to the process and debug inside of it. Hoorah. You know what? Do I care? We can use primary constructors. There's no reason not to use a primary constructor. Okay, so the appropriate place to disable the button. We could do it in the style, but that means that every style needs to go through and deal with it versus curious where button. Look real quick. I don't remember where button does. We kind of want to follow that same pattern. Button base. There. Let's see. And property. Da da da. Yeah. And on command. That's a whole lot of stuff for register and unregister handler. And execute. Update can execute. The heck are you? Oh, dear heavens. Please tell me this. Bloody private. WPF! Who are not playing nice with the other children. Okay, which means there is no way to do it the same way that is no way to do it the same way. Can execute update, can execute change. Trying to decide what the appropriate way of handling is. I'm tempted to just do it inside of here. of setting the enabled state of the button. We have access to the buttons here, right? So we can technically get at this. Yeah, I think we go here. If arrow up down dot value equals numeric up down maximum, right? The just straight disable the button. Let's see. So numeric up down. And numeric up down. Increase button. This is giving me a mild amount of pause because it's something about this is not feeling correct to me. I'm struggling to put my finger on it. Minimum and increase button. Do that. Okay. That should give our test a happy path. And then this will get us running. And then I think after this, I'm going to just push the PR. And then I'm gonna think I'll open it up for review. See if anybody else wants to throw in on a review for it, but potentially look at merging. The green? No. What are you unhappy about now? Get is enabled. Oh, we didn't back. Ugh. See, this is why you write tests. This is why you write tests. We're gonna do this in a different order. Right? And then we're gonna do you up. Let's see. Up here. We're just gonna grab this. So enabled will be not equal rather than disabling. That way there's always an assignment. It'll flip itself back. Right, so we'll just set this, bring you up. This goes here, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. This goes like this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, then run test again. Then I think we'll have a copy and paste replica for the minus test. Green! Happiness! Happiness is a green test. Okay, and then we go here. We go here. At some point, there should probably be validation to make sure that like minimum is strictly less than maximum or something. Right? Disable. And we aren't using the. We are using. Okay. So let's see. Let's do to minimum 1, value of 2. Right? And so we will do minus button left click, wait for it to go to 1 in both cases. Assert that the minus button is not enabled. Then we will do plus button left click, that it goes up a 1, and then go back to the minus button being re. Same test, different direction, just to make sure both are working properly. Hey, green test. Okay, let's commit and push. Let's see. Cleaning up the numeric up down control. Added by tests. Ship it. Hit and push. Okay. I don't remember where this which was this. I want to go here. I want to send it there. Do I have force push? I have force push permissions. Excellent. Thank you for leaving the box checked. For a year. Okay, so we're gonna take this and we are going to promote you out of draft because I want to get the CI running. So we're gonna promote up and out, and I am going to tag Nikolai on it. See if he has feedback. There is, I'll leave comments on my own stuff because we resolved some of the comments and we fixed others. Let's see, that's good. That was just a using cleanup. UI tests. I think we pushed changes on all the lines. Recording horizontal content alignment. Oh, I didn't do that, did I? Okay, let's go do that real quick. Because this was here, horizontal content alignment. Then we do the setter here. Setter property. Horizontal content alignment value center. That'll address that problem. I think this will be template binding vertical content alignment. Pilot, you so awesome. Okay, so that's going to be fixed here on the push. This one I'm going to leave because that one I think I want to take on the new smart hint stuff part of this. That'll help me understand all of those changes a little better as well. So here forwarding forwarding alignment properties. Let's do that. Here we go. Okay, so there's that. See here. So that's resolved. I do want to go to the demo page and leave a comment though. Fresh. Let's see. Demo app. Numeric Up-Down. Let's see. Okay. That's fine because I put on here that we want to add a few more styles, bring those up to date. The only other comment I wanted to resolve was the layout one. Let's see here. That one's handled. That one's handled. And that one we still need. I think that one's handled. So I got a couple more comments to handle and a few more things, but overall I think that is going to land rather nicely. And then this thing should be able to make it for the 5.1 release, which will probably consist of this control and a bunch of the smart hint stuff from Nickel. I think, and then whatever bug fixes and whatnot come through. But that'll also end up basically clearing the PR list, which will be rather nice. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. Izzy, hopefully you have a good day at work. Again, for anybody who might be going to the Microsoft Build Conference, I will be there basically from like noon to 2. I think it's the developer tools booth or something to that effect up in the expert area. So Seattle Conference Center, if it's set up the same way they did Ignite, the expert area will be top floor and basically the big ballroom in the middle or thereabouts. Worst case scenario, there's lots of people around to ask directions. So if anybody's coming, would love to chat and hang out. Other than that, I'll tell everybody happy coding. See everyone next time.